We're going to do a very deep dive into spiritual empowerment. We're going to go in a place after time, after this world has ended. And it's going to end in your mind and heart and soul and body today. That's what spiritual empowerment says to us. We can transcend it all. We can be kind, calm, deliberate, fearless to the trillionth of a degree when we align ourselves with the holiness of the universe that has traditionally been called God. Today it's called you. When you meet God directly, face to face, hand to hand, heart to heart, it will be you. Your pure state, your wonderful state, your kind state. I've done this for 60 years of my life with individuals. I'm going to do it for us on this video this morning. A friend of mine, Susan, wrote a book called After Time. And the meaning of that is, in spiritual consciousness, after you've conquered time, the time sense, your consciousness lives everywhere. It extends out into infinity. Forget all the words of religion and even spirituality. It's a quiet state, it's a calm state, it's a pure state. It's you, it's the real you. After time, after all this is ended, all the madness, because you're all spiritual, I don't have to explain all the ins and outs of it, of the material lifestyle, right? Let's begin. I'm going to count back from 100 to 90. At which point you will be existent beyond time, away from the whole world, in this very kind, calm, pure state called you, called spirituality, mysticism, God consciousness. It's you, it's the real you. The biggest jump in consciousness during this short countdown is to know that the whole world, everything, good, bad, and indifferent. Now this is a high teaching, you could say, but it's simply the teaching. The whole world is the lie, everything about it. To imagine that there's something solid or something separate from God in thought or experience, especially, in a love relationship. A mother's waiting for a child to be born. You're already at one. You talk to some children who, they're aware of their state before birth, and so on and so forth. And the afterlife, people have these experiences of trans-dimensional experiences, or seeing Jesus or whatever. They're all real. But there is no Jesus. There is no after. There are no births or deaths that have ever been recorded in heaven, which exists after time, away from time, apart from time. You are timeless, you're pure, you're kind, you're true, you are an immortal being. After this, you'll know that nothing can touch you. You'll spend a few short months relegating this understanding to different parts of your consciousness until you're home free. You can sit as I've done since birth, before birth, and before birth, and before birth, and after time, thanks to my friend Susan George, who put this all in a book form called After Time. This is healing. This is God. This is you. There's nothing wrong with you. You are a spiritual consciousness that alighted upon this plane of being out of some heroic impulse in your soul from eternity. And all of us who are spiritual, all of us who are spiritual arrived at this place at this time for a very specific message to be brought to all the decent people in the world, that this thing be folded up, that these sidewalks be cleaned, that there be no more broken windows. At 90, we're at peace. After time, after the time sense. Because everything spiritual is timeless. There's a oneness. As soon as you begin to get here, you'll feel your grandmom, your loved ones, the holy ones, the ancient ones. They're all here all the time. They're all you. Nothing of the world exists. It is the illusion. Spiritual people around the world understand this completely. We're simply going to explain it, express it, provide it, give it, empower one another with it from this day forward. So help us God. At 90, complete peace, as though you were never born. And everything that you need, that you must have to move forward, will simply be provided. You don't have to work for it. You don't even have to pray. It will just be. And as soon as you're in this calm state after time, in other words, after this whole world is over, or away from time, then everything will have new and wonderful and beautiful meaning to it. Like the song of a lark. At 90, we will all be in a condition of complete calm and peace. Relax your breathing. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your neck. Feel all the musculature in your body become calm, serene even. Breathing very deep and regular. Even and deep breathing, all the way down in your abdomen. Stop thinking with the thinking mind, and you'll discover God looking out from your heart and soul forevermore. 100. Peace, timelessness at 90. 99. This will heal every thought, every trepidation. I hate to use the word fear because it's unnecessary anymore. You can handle anything and everything that will come your way. You don't have to think about it, pray about it, work on it. It's nice to sit back in your easy chair and drift from time to time. And in your reverie, you'll be reminded of these thoughts. There's nowhere to go, nothing to do about your spirituality. You are in the transcendent kingdom now. You can never leave. I won't let you. You've given enough. Just being here to represent the kingdom of God is all you had to do. And now we can fold up these ancient sidewalks, that there be no more pain, no more fear. Just a simple transcendent kindness called the human heart, the human soul, called you, called God, called eternity. Complete peace and understanding these words at 90. And the age. You are a spiritual presence, not a body, not in a place or a time. 97. Just the breathing. We push through the wall, and once we're through, We're here. '96. Out of the head, experience this transcendent freedom. That's all there is to it. There's no more. That's it. Everything you need to know, to understand, to do will come to you, will move through you. When you're hit with the thrust of this temptation called the world, every aspect of it, it'll get very, 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 very subtle. And you'll be taught as it's happening. Because whatever that weird force that owns this world is, it's fear-based. When it keeps fighting harder and harder to keep you trapped, you'll see more and more. The learning curve is whoops, like that. Once you remember who you are, once you stepped after time. 95. The breathing. 94. '93. You are a spiritual presence. You are eternity. You are everything that has been considered to be God, to be the kingdom of light. It's the kingdom of you. 93, 92. You'll be happy for the rest of your life. It'll work out through and through in the next 2 and 3 months. The learning curve again will be astronomical, and you'll be oh so happy. God bless your mission here. You'll help and heal and protect all the good people you know. You'll pull the sick out of their beds. This I promise you. It's all in consciousness. We're not this thing, we're everything. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. It just is. The simple, quiet condition of being at peace, at one with the eternal, the immortal, the real you. You are this presence. You'll never be less again in your thought. That's the temptation. Thinking that there are thoughts is the temptation. Thinking there's anything solid is the temptation. Thinking there are politics or religion or social norms or disagreements or agreements is the temptation. Knowledge and understanding is the temptation. Everything that seems solid is a temptation. You were never born, you'll never die. We wake at 90 after time. You are a spiritual presence. You are the infinite. You're immortal. You're perfect, and pure, and good. And you'll heal all your friends and loved ones. So help me God. After time, thank you, Susan, at 90. 92. 91. 90. It's all that simple. We're reminding ourselves of who we really are beyond all the madness of this insipid place you can call the world, whatever you want to call it, or not call it. in Susan's book, After Time, Robert Rosenberg, author. We're putting together a website right now. We can get them or whatever. There's somewhere, Lulu, on lulu.com, I don't know. But it covers all this in a magnificent way, every possible thought and impression of the world in a very small work of spiritual genius that Susan put together. So there'll be nothing, no slippage. You're not going to understand instantly whatever's coming at you. And let it go. The main thing is to not react to anything. Nothing. And it's not just what they call it mindfulness or whatever. It's you have to know there is a God beyond it all. It's not you being at peace. The Buddha was made of fire. The Christ walked on water. Moses moved across the desert without a map for 40 years. These are powerful beings. The legends we have of them, however totally clear they may be or not be, is unimportant. We know there are people who have transcended all the norms. They live after time. They're living in heaven. They're trying to bring us forward. So we have all these instances and examples and heroic spiritual figures from ancient times to the present. If you want to know one really, really well, just sit down and talk to your mom and find out how difficult it's been to raise you in this stupid, godforsaken place called planet Earth in 2023. It's horrible. It's demonic, it's satanic. And I'm not going to let it bother Susan or you or your mom anymore. We are a brotherhood. We are a sisterhood. We are an eternal priesthood. From time immemorial, through the presence, to that place after time, as Susan spoke so well of. You will no longer be victimized. You'll understand these words. Who you are, what you are, and why you're here. A few people in the entire infinite yama spiritual beings, so these words aren't more than what I experience every moment, all of my life, always. And you have to hide it. You really do learn to be very gentle with people. What I don't want us to hide anymore. And all of us who are spiritual know exactly what was just said and meant. Use your gifts wisely, walk away, read After Time. Remember Susan's heroic mission. Remember the great ones, the ancient ones. The Saint Teresa's of this world. People lived beyond themselves, whose only tool was kindness. An intelligent kindness that believed in a higher power. And today we allow ourselves to become that higher power. And then the world no longer is, because it never was. It's something in the thought and imagination of a group of people or beings that are lost. But you're not lost. Today you're found, I'm found. We'll align with this deep, deep mission. And we'll fold the whole thing up like a moth-bitten blanket. And we'll put it up on a shelf somewhere and forget about it as though it never was. Because in all spiritual truth, it never was. It never is. Only the light, the kindness, the purity of you. It's you. It's always been you. This deep, deep purity in your heart, your love for your mom, your friend, your child, your puppy, that's you. That's all it should be. Your puppy's not going to be afraid of dying. It just doesn't want to leave you alone here. So animals have a different thought of death. They can let it go. It's only humanity, and humanity doesn't exist. It is the temptation. everything about it. Let go. Be still and know that I am God. Remember from the Bible? And that's what it means. And that was said by holy people, men, women who lived in the desert with less to eat, poor conditions, less to eat than we can imagine dealing with. When you deprive yourself of the daily melange, the ordinariness of every day, when you step back from it, like the great gurus or teachers or saints or nuns in the world, you'll be happy. My friend Frida Beatty ran monastery nuns in Tibet. I knew her many years ago, and she hardly ever ate. She drank a Coca-Cola after 12. I remember she'd drive on her bicycle going to help the monks or whatever, or her orphanage, and that's all she'd have. And there are people like that you'll meet along the way who are living saints, who give everything. But people like her weren't stupid. They lived in the worst conditions imaginable and still carried this joy, this peace, this happiness with them through terrible conditions. Because she lived after time. And that takes an awful lot of thought and concentration. By letting go of concentration, just go into the state of free flight, of openness. There is a God. You are God's presence. You're here for heroic spiritual reasons, to deprive the world of the sense of time, that we meet happily evermore in this temple of kindness, of purity. You are God's temple in the world. Don't seek anything outside of you. There are no experts in anything in the world. The evil is like a cancer. It has to be excised from every conceivable part of your body. But there is no cancer. There's only God. There is no body. There's only God. There are no poor conditions or poor people. There's only God. That's what Saint Teresa gave by holding the hands of so many people who were dying of starvation. Can you imagine that, dying of starvation? You feel like you're nobody more than anything. It's not the starving. You feel so empty of self-regard. Hold the hand of every decent person you meet for the rest of your life. There's no more is needed. God will be with you. God is your hand, your heart, your guiding star. The moon at midnight. And tomorrow's beautiful breaking of dawn. It's all you. Isn't it you? That's what the mystics have told us. That's what the lovers have known. Just to make it very clear without spending too much time on it, the devil, meaning this force that makes the world seem to exist, the devil fears one righteous person more than 1,000 blind believers. Let go of fear, remorse, guilt. This world sets every person up. I know I've been set up in ways that are utterly, amazingly ingenious, and you can't really do it unless you're really some evil force that can make things happen, or it's quite incredible if you were a person who wasn't spiritual looking at it. How could that have been done? I mean, all the computer logic in the world could not come up with this scheme to take down Robert, but it did, but it doesn't mean anything. And you might be the only one that knows you're pure and clean. But I know you're pure and clean. I know God knows you're pure and clean, and I know the world traps all of us In the old book, it was called The Snare of the Devil, meaning the trap. As soon as you get in here, that's the whole idea of the Garden of Eden is you think your body's, no, it's not that. You think there's separate bodies. That's as long as there are two people that think they're people in a body, there'll be war, pain, and cancer. Let go. Live after time. That's the teaching. That's the inheritance. That's the teaching you brought from heaven to earth to end the madness forever. There's nothing to fear. Just know this. Sit quietly back in your chair at night. That's the work. That's the mission. The rest will come forward, come forth. It will speak from you as though you're God, because you're God. Fear no one or no thing. And even when it's right in your face, I've had everything at me you could imagine. I'm simply saying that for us because we've all had everything at us, haven't we? Anything to make us feel less. But I'm not going to let Susan down. I'm not going to let you down. I'm not going to let my mom down. My great, great, great spiritual teacher, Kathleen Judge, I'm never going to let her down. And all the saints that have visited me around the clock since I was a little boy. I'm not going to let them down. They gave me a little encouragement as the dark force worked on me around the clock. And around the clock to the midnight hour. Kathleen and Susan put together a couple books that explain everything, that you'll have a friend with you in every conceivable aspect of this teaching trying to present today. To know there's nothing wrong with you and you don't need anything, you don't need any tools. Whatever you need from time to time will just pass through you as light to morning air. It's that simple. God will be with you always. And I won't let you fail. And Susan won't let you fail. And Kathleen won't let you fail. God will not let you fail. You just have to remember that what's being said is the truth of reality. Allow yourself to expand into the living ethers, the living light. For you are the light living. You've never been less. You volunteered for this. You gave yourself this time on the cross. Allow yourself kindly and gently to step down off of the cross, across the waters and lands, and the seas, and provide sanctuary to every decent person you meet for the rest of your life. God bless your mission. Thank you for partnering with me and Susan and Kathleen and Jesus Christ and Father Abraham. You are a living Buddha. Simply meaning you are awake to the infinite presence and purity of the universe. It is you. Isn't it you? Thank you for listening. Thank you.